Okay, welcome to day 110 of trying to become a SOC analyst. We've got a incident response alert today, so a level 2 alert. HTran network tunneling potentially associated with APT10 MENUPASS was detected. So let's jump to the alert. I've already assigned it to myself. High severity. So it's an incident responder alert, as I mentioned, and it's because the command HTran -slave, an IP address, a port, an IP address, and a port was ran, detects the execution of HTran tool with suspicious network tunneling behavior, potentially linked to APT10 activity. Minutes before the alert, I saw a brute force attempt against the system with different users from IP, the 87 IP. However, I could not determine whether this attack was successful or not. I also could not see the relevant command in system history. I could not understand whether the command was executed or not. So that they were the notes from the level 1, and we're meant to act like a incident responder. So I'll get rid of that and let's jump into it. So hostname Jenessa with the 172 IP. Let's start by loading that up, and then we can connect to the lab or connect to the endpoint. So it's a Linux endpoint, Ubuntu. And before we look through the commands, let's just fire up this lab. So select all the buckets and just make sure that's loading. Okay. So we actually have 26 pages of processes, so I'm not sure we want to go through all of those unless a lot of these seem to be GNOME, so we can probably skip through quite quickly. Just trying to keep an eye out for the commands. Okay, Xorg, GDM's the session logon manager, I believe. What else have we got? Okay, system D. GNOME. Okay, this is a rabbit hole. GNOME. Okay, still nothing interesting. Tiger VNC. Now, that might be worth keeping an eye on. Let's see if we can see the command there. Okay, so VNC was run. We have a bash. Another bash login on the terminal. Another terminal. So quite a few terminal windows. Okay, we've got git clone. HTran or HTran. I'm not sure what the correct pronunciation is for this. So someone's cloned it. That's the... Oh, that's bad timing. Our lab just spawned. Just want to copy this. Let's open a new tab. Let's get back to that in a second. Just continue looking at our process because we've only got 3 more pages. So we had the git clone. For git, what have we got here? Well, that's just fetching. Okay, next. Okay, it's still the git clone. Compiling. That's a worry. They've grabbed it, they've compiled it, and then I'm guessing we're going to see them running in a second. What's this one? Looks like they're having issues getting it to compile. -lp thread. I wonder if that's multi-threading. Maybe. All right. Anyway, anyway, they've trying to compile it, and let's see if we see it getting ran on the last page. Okay. Network connections. We can see one external IP, and for terminal history, it's not looking good. It's looking like recon's being run, checking groups, checking what privileges they have, looking at etc. password to see what users are on the box, checking resolve.conf, that's like DNS hostname, checking all the subdirectories in home. So you could scan that to see, if anyone has a .ssh key saved, it can, will scan all the subfolders. Netstat. Okay, SS tunnels looking for services running on localhost only. So if you maybe have a Apache server running on the internet, like on the external IP, it will have port 80 open, and that might be the only external service that's open. But then a common thing to do is to run services locally only, so only listen on localhost. So you could then have MySQL open on localhost, and you'd only see it locally. So this is one way of listing those ports that are open, or if you maybe had a Docker container. So it's recon, and crontab is looking at what services are scheduled, checking for network connectivity. Then the git clone, which is what we saw in the process, is running, then trying to compile it. Assumption is it's possibly failed, and then they're trying to compile it again with whatever this -lp thread is. So maybe it's making it single threaded or multi-threaded. I mean, it's going to be one or the other. And then looks like they have executed the connection. And then let's start looking at processes. Okay. So it's looking like it's a true positive. It's definitely a compromised box. Now we've got the git clone. So looking at it, HTran is a connection bouncer, a kind of proxy server, a listener program. Is hacked stealthily onto unsuspecting hosts somewhere on the internet. When it receives signals from the actual target system, it redirects to the hacker's server. So I'm familiar with Chisel, Lingo are the two that you commonly use from a red team point of view if you're connecting into a host. So maybe you've got your foothold, and then you've found out that there's something on the internal network. Obviously, if it's in the NAT, 172 range or 192, you're not going to be able to access it externally. So you run Chisel on your foothold, and that allows you to then use your attack box to get to the server that's hidden behind NAT, so in the internal network. This is similar, but more so being used as a proxy to bounce you from a compromised host. So instead of you trying to hack into the Chinese government from your home IP, if you hack various other servers on the net, you can bounce around those to try and hide your real connection. So, I mean, it's similar to how I use Chisel more to access internal networks like the 192 or 172 IPs, but this seems like it's used more just to bounce off a hacked endpoint. So, definitely a malicious usage tool. However, I dare say if we look up, do we have a hash? No, we don't have a hash or anything. So we could jump onto the endpoint now that we've got access and start the cleanup, I guess. I don't know if we know. Oh, okay, well, we know the path is here then. Okay, so it does look like they did get it compiled. And so it does look like it was ran. So, okay. Let's grab the hash. Now, I'd be surprised if VirusTotal actually flagged this as malicious. Oh, whoops. Well, it's probably a good thing to check anyway. So check the GitHub. It's not flagged as malicious because I guess it is a security tool. But how do I get this off this endpoint? I think with the VM we have to go here. It's a real pain to copy. Okay. Let's just look this up to be sure. And in fact, I'll open in another window just to make writing the logs up a bit easier later. Yeah, so it's not flagged as malicious because it is, I guess, a tool for security. It has a usage, but the usage behind this tool is malicious in the way that they're using it to bounce off our box. So if we go through here, we might even find a community note tagging it. So we've just got some Yara rules. So no, that's we've just got Yara rules. And for details, okay, I don't think we have to go into this much. I mean, we know what it is. We know it was compiled. We know it was ran. We probably should be more interested in the IPs that it connected to. Are they malicious? Now, just while we're on this box, do we have a bash history? Okay. So it looks like it's been cleared. Okay. If we go to our logs, let's get our endpoint. 8th of October. And go source address. So this is our git clone. Oh, this is, looks like we've actually got system logs. So audit log. Okay. And we have the connection. So let's grab that IP and go to abuse IP. Okay, so this IP is geo-based in China and it's been reported 2,000 times. So it seems like it's a very malicious IP. brute force, hacking, brute force. Okay. So we might actually change to basic. I might have to actually reload that. Give me 1 second. Change this to basic search. Let's grab our IP again. Okay. So SSH, and are we going to get information about if failed? Yes. Okay. So sorry, I just will quickly take note of the IP. And our logs are showing we've got a brute force attempt from this IP. We'll just make our notes easier. So there's 8 pages. We really need to find a successful login to see. So timestamp. Let's see if we can get this sorted better. Okay. And then 8:15. Okay. 8:26. So this is our tunnel that we saw before running to the 218 IP. So you're going to assume that this probably is the successful login here. So it looks like accepted password for Analyst. And just to check, failed from Analyst. Okay. These are our logs of them trying to compile. Oh no, that's the net. This is the recon, the net stat. And then there'll be the GitHub grab, clone, and the compile. And then, okay, they've ran that. So let's fire up our playbook. Start playbook. Review the details, gather more information. So we have an idea of what's going on. Have you seen any suspicious user or process activity that establishes outbound or inbound connection? Yes, we have. Has the source IP or domain been previously associated with malicious activity? So we know that the China geo-based IP was very malicious with the count of 2,000 reports. Let's check the brute force IP. And that's also been flagged 75 times. And brute force, port scanning. So that also fits in as a malicious IP. So yes. Command and control. Identify suspicious connections. Sorry, let me restart there. Identify suspicious connections. Check for anomalous process network protocol analysis behavior. Analyze traffic patterns. The adversary is trying to communicate with compromised systems to control them. Command and control consists of techniques that adversaries may use to communicate with systems under their control within a victim network. The following checks can be performed to detect C2 traffic. For more details can be found, and that's going to be the C2 tactic URL. And we can open it up and have a look. So it's just command and control. So both IP and user base searches of the victim using log management network traffic should be analyzed as a result of these searches. Okay, so we've checked the logs and found that they did make the only outgoing network connection was to the 218 IP, and they were setting up that as a proxy. So I've done that. Next, what is the communication protocol used for this C2 activity? So it was a synth sent of a protocol TCP. So TCP is C2 connection encrypted? Now we haven't seen any traffic sent over it yet. So we're going to go no. Which technique is used in C2 traffic? As a result of the analysis made through log management, which C2 technique does the attacker match? Application layer protocol, dynamic resolution, encrypted channel, fallback channels, multi-stage, non-application, non-standard port, or web service, or none. So it's command and control. Non-standard encoding. Well, we know it's web protocol. Best routes make communicating using application layer protocols associated with web traffic to avoid detection. So we know it's not that. Application layer protocol. Adversaries may communicate using OSI application layer protocols to avoid detection, filtering by blending with the existing traffic, commands to remote system and often the results of those commands will be embedded within the protocol traffic. No. Where's adversaries may communicate using a protocol and port pairing that are typically not associated. For example, HTTPS over port 8088 or port 587 as opposed to the traditional port. Adversaries make changes to the standard port used by a protocol. That's a little bit more fitting, but I mean, it's a non-standard port. Being that normally proxy would be like 1080. Dynamic, encrypted, fallback. Let's look at multi-stage. Oh, did I even have an option for... Oh, I've completely made up the non-standard port option. Anyway, so application layer, dynamic resolution, encrypted, fallback channels, multi-stage. So let's look at multi-stage or non-application layer. Oh yeah, non-standard port was an option. Multi-stage channels, let's check that out. Multi-stage channels. Adversaries may create multiple stages for command and control. They're employed under different conditions or for certain functions. Use of multi-stages may obfuscate the command and control channel to make detection more difficult. Remote access tools will call back to the first stage command and control server for instructions. The first stage may have automated capabilities to connect host information update tools. Second remote access tool RAT. So it's more like a stage 1. second stage will be likely to be more fully featured and allow the adversary to interact with the system through a reverse shell and additional wrap features. No, I'm thinking that's... Oh, the downloader establishes a SOC330 connection using TCP port 1913. Once the server response is verified, then sends a request. So that's the chisel style that I was talking about. And then before we go on, APT10 menu, that was it. Let's have a quick look at the actual APT group. And techniques used. Command in PowerShell. Data stage. HTran is the impact MENUPASS. Desk RDP, external proxy. Yeah, so I mean, I'd be thinking more here. Multi-stage was our other option. Let's just follow this through for a second. May use a connection proxy to direct network traffic between systems. Yeah, including HTran. So I mean, this nails it, but that's not an option. 1090. So I'm going to go with non-standard port, I think. Endpoint security process analysis. The process running on the host, terminal history, the network history, and the browser history should all be carefully examined. So on the endpoint, we already looked for bash history. There was nothing. Grep -I, HT, is it Tran? Ran, wasn't it? Ran. So that's just my process looking for it. So it's not currently running. So in terms of cleaning that up, HTran, so we'll remove that. We're looking to see if any users were added. So that Analyst user is the one that we know that was brute forced. LetsDefend is us. And then there's the Nova user that also has a login. And we'll just also double check SH. Okay. So Change password analyst. Oh, that's a good point. I checked the root bash history. I didn't check analyst. That looks like it's not going through. Or what's happened here? Let's just open up it. Check the bash history. So okay, no. And looking at sudo, it looks like they've got sudo rights. Okay, so let me change the password. Okay, why is my change pass not working? Am I crazy? Oh, okay, we can do it via sudo then. Is change pass not an actual command? Oh, there you go. So sudo, and then for what user we want to set for analyst. Okay, so we'll change the analyst password. We discovered that they had sudo access, so yeah, then we got analysts in there. Now we don't know if they're meant to have it or if the user added it. There's in the terminal history, it doesn't look like they added it, but just to be safe, I'm going to remove it. And there's no process running, and we've deleted the process and we've rotated credentials. Okay. Analysts log on. Nine 5 IP. We don't have the year on these, so this might not be relevant. I know we're looking for October, and I'm not seeing October in there, so let's skip that. Let's go back to our playbook. We're halfway through it. So we've checked the no processes running. The terminal history looks like it's been cleared. Network history, we can only see the one IP connected. Browser history, no. Okay, next. Which technique used in C2 traffic as a result of the analysis made through endpoint security analysis with C2 technique does the attack match? So this is what we were looking at before. Proxy technique 1090. And we're going to say there's definitely a true positive. Does the device need to be isolated? Distance exposed should be isolated. I feel like we've already cleaned the machine, but let's say yes. Well, this is a tricky one because, yeah, are we acting as if this was escalated to us and we're meant to have cleaned it? Because I think if we rotate the allowed, the only other one I'd be concerned about would be authorized keys here. So if we rotated those, then I'd say there's no real need to isolate the host anymore, as we've changed the password. There's no active connection. But I feel like the answer is going to be yes, so I'm going to put yes. Going to go containment and tick yes. Because it didn't specifically, I don't think it actually asked us to eradicate in this playbook. So that's why I'm choosing to say isolate. So maybe we shouldn't have deleted the things. Backup evidence, eradication. Oh, there we go. So go to the endpoint and destroy anything malicious. So we've done that. Recovery, lessons learned. And now let's add some artifacts. So we had the brute force IP. No, this was not the brute force IP. This was the listener. This was the brute force IP. Okay. This was the proxy that they proxied to. And for brute force, it was the 87 IP. That was the brute force. Now we also had the hash. Now I don't know necessarily this is something that we're going to tag as malicious, but if it's something that we don't use on the network, then it could be, because it's malicious usage, it could be worth blocking. So that's the tool. And then we could also flag the hash, which we grabbed here. So let's grab the hash. And HTran GitHub. Okay, there are artifacts. Next, I'll pause the video while I write some notes. Okay, so written up some notes. We've mapped it to the MITRE attack, the same as we've done through the playbook. Remote services, brute force, proxy, and protocol tunneling. I wasn't sure about the non-standard port, so I've left it out. Who? Attacker IP 87.249.134.130 gained access via SSH brute force. Compromised account analysis on host Jenessa 172.16.17.131. External proxy endpoint 27.4.98 used for tunneling. Oops, what's going on here? All right, the what? HTran proxy tool was executed to create a network tunnel from the internal host to external malicious IP. Command used was HTran slave the 218 IP port 4444, the 18.189 IP. Tool was compiled on the endpoint and used for proxying traffic. No additional lateral movement or connections observed beyond the tunnel. When initial access occurred shortly before 8 a.m. on the 8th of October by SSH brute force, HTran execution detected at October 8, 2024 at 8:26 a.m. where affected host Jenessa, the 172 internal IP, inbound attack from 87.IP, outbound tunnel established to 218 over port 4444. Summary: investigation confirmed a true positive alert. Attacker gained access through successful SSH brute force against Analysis account. HTran RAN tool was deployed and executed to establish a proxy tunnel to a known malicious IP. No evidence of further persistence or lateral movement was identified. Response actions: removed HTran tool from endpoint, verified no active malicious process running, reset Analyst account password, removed Analyst account from sudo group, confirmed no additional suspicious network activity, endpoint containment successful. So let's see how we went. Okay, we've finished the playbook. Let's close the alert. True positive. Paste in the same notes. And fingers crossed, we're on day 101 streak. Oh yeah, okay, great. So everything correct. The reason I'm happy about that is I did one of these yesterday, did I not? And I lost 10 points for just some incorrect flagging. Today it looks like I've got everything flagged correctly. So yes, it was a true positive. The one that I was umming and ahhing about getting correct was going to be whether the device needed to be isolated, because the fact that it was meant to be a incident responder ticket, I thought maybe they want you to, resolve it so the endpoint can get straight back into service. But in thinking about it, excuse me, the isolation came first, and then they guided us through eradicating, and then I guess potentially you'd then unisolate it or uncontain it. Verify whether a false positive or legit activity has occurred. So we said it was definitely, there was malicious activity. Which techniques used in C2 traffic. So after looking through our options, we went with non-standard port, and that was correct. Which techniques used in C2 traffic again? That was when we went with proxy as the other option. Was the C2 connection encrypted? We said no. There was no signs in the command that it was encrypted, and there was no traffic that we saw that was encrypted. What is the communication protocol used? It was TCP. Has the source IP address or domain been previously associated with malicious activity? We said yes to that. And initial analysis. What was that? Whether it was malicious or not, maybe? I actually don't know what that question was, but if we go back through the video, you can see on the playbook what it was. It feels like it probably wasn't important. So we got everything correct, so that's great. Considering this is part of the incident responder path, the alerts are a little bit harder, a little bit longer, and I'm not even in frame on the camera. That is crazy. It's still not what's happened here. Anyway, I'll see you on day 111 of trying to become a SOC analyst, and we might get back to doing a normal SOC level 1 alert, or we might still be working our way through the incident responder. Looking at their alerts available, it does look like the majority of them are incident responders. There's only one level 1 alert left to do. So from here on out, it does look like we're going to be doing the harder alerts. I might just get rid of that cam because it's not working. And I'll see you on day 111 of trying to become a SOC analyst. And I appreciate anyone who's watching and motivating me to keep going. Thank you.